The week of recess for the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation case is finally over, and everything and all the festivities are going to kick off Monday morning with the continued direct examination because, oh boys, there's still a long time to go with Amber Heard on the stand, and maybe she'll be changing her tune because God knows that fucking spastic narcissist has probably been looking at every single article that's been put up. Okay, watch the hours and hours of content of nobody fucking believing any of her stories that have been lifted from other people's experiences, maybe some Hollywood films, or maybe just an amalgamation of events that she's gone through in her life, and realize that public sentiments are firmly, 100%, completely not on her side at all. Nobody's buying anything that she said, okay? And like I said, when we did our last recap last week and all that stuff, I was going to go back and I was going to watch some of the highlights and the more important testimony that was out there, and I did in fact do just such a thing. And probably over the weekend, I'll stomach it by going back over Amber Heard stuff, so Monday morning I'll be able to cover this as easily and smoothly as possible. And yeah, it'll be gut-wrenching, and yes, because I'm a man, it won't be quite as vagina-wrenching as her story of, oh my god, my pubic bone, it felt like he was punching me. It's, oh my god. So nice that she took one of the former assistant's story and co-opted it for herself. But no, I've been watching different angles of the coverage that's out there, and yes, there's been some leaked audio, which is probably never going to come into the courtroom, of her just confessing her guilt of what happened in Australia. It's a compelling listen, okay? And thank God for the guy who subtitled all the stuff that's out there. It's about a 40-minute long clip, and I can't remember exactly which channel put it up and did all of that hard work, and he's getting all the views for it, and God bless him for it, because it was the Yowman's tale for him to be doing that, okay? Because it's hard to listen to, not because of the content that's on there. It's just, auditorially very difficult to listen to. But he managed to caption it, and it all seems to line up perfectly with the words that are being muttered and then the captions that are provided as well. Why I'm saying it's going to be hard for them to admit that upon cross-examination, because that's where that's coming up, because it's absolutely damning to Amber Heard. It's because Jerry Judge, the deceased head of security for Johnny Depp, is very prevalent in this recording there, and it would be hearsay after hearsay after hearsay, and then just the little out-of-context admissions that, she felt bad about smashing and destroying Johnny's finger. Would be very difficult to make anything substantive out of. It doesn't really help their narrative, and I'm sure that there's plenty more evidence, and there's a whole bunch of other things that can be attacked, like that quote-unquote allegedly damning picture of the breakfast table where there's the 2 or 3 lines of cocaine with a card of Amber Heard's, and Johnny Depp's Coke box where he keeps baggies of Coke, I guess, or where he scoops into his jar of cocaine in order to slap the top back on and then go about his day, whatever. And it's funny, right? A professional coke sniffer like Amber Heard's alleging Johnny Depp is, right? Not saying that he doesn't partake in some party every once in a while. Obviously, that's a pretty fucking well-established ground at this point. But wouldn't you think he'd have a little bit more sophisticated of a method in order to consuming said cocaine through his nostrils than using a tampon applicator? That's just what that picture shows. But again, that was just one of the 3 angles that she was taking throughout the day. But I'm sure that won't be very central to some of the cross-examination, at least some of it. But yes, where she left off with direct examination, right now they are just leaving Australia. So yeah, you have the divorce and you have all of the aftermath of that. It's probably going to be another full day of direct, so expect that recap on Monday, because hopefully she took some acting classes over the weekend, or over the week off, because God knows she's going to need it, because don't know exactly what she's been up to, other than, probably firing everybody around her and giving the old downfall speech where she's just getting all of her incompetent generals together and firing everybody within arm's reach. Meanwhile, Johnny Depp's over in the UK for the weekend court vacations. This is what he's doing. This is a guy who's in the middle. If he loses this case, by the way, he could stand to lose upwards of $100 million to Amber Heard, right? Because that's what she's suing him for. He's only suing for a meager $50 million, which nobody will get their asked amounts, obviously. That just never happens in a civil case. This is a guy whose life has been ruined. He's facing a mountain of insane accusations against him, but yet he's still finding time in his day to take pictures with fans. Again, I've been over the past week trying to figure out the most charitable interpretations of all sides, of all parties that are there, and other than at one point in time being incredibly attractive, I don't find anything redeeming about Amber Heard, and everything that Depp's been putting forward has been genuine. Okay? He just seems like a good dude who got caught up in a bad situation. And if he had a better understanding of intersexual dynamics, he wouldn't have found himself in this point. But we're here, and hopefully he learns from it. Because if he wins this case, which is still a very uphill battle, even as he's pushing 60, Hollywood's going to have a new, renewed enthusiasm for it. And God knows the schlock that's out there. They could use somebody with his incredible talents. So I'd like to do a little bit of a refresher, okay, because we know most of the seedy details that are out there right now, but what exactly is at the heart of this case? Well, it's defamation. Where is that all stemming from? Washington Post, and that's why everything is taking place in Virginia, because that's its center of distribution, right? That's where the Washington Post is headquartered, in Virginia, so that's why the case is taking place there. So, the op-ed, that's not a thing. That would just be a punishment in the late 1700s in France. But that op-ed, it was written in part by Amber Heard, but it was also written and properly edited, and in fact cultivated and shopped around and pushed by the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, which is just absolutely fantastic. The same organization that Amber Heard is still the face of gender-based violence. It's totally fucked in the head, right? Because you can't have domestic violence, right? Because that doesn't cover all 95,000 fucking genders that are out there, right? So anybody can be a victim. Unless, of course, you're Dr. Karen, who's going to get thoroughly rebutted by Dr. Muffins here in a couple weeks' time. That'll be fun in and of itself. But the two major players outside of the two legal teams here do need their own spotlight shone on them for a moment. How the Washington Post and the ACLU helped Amber Heard attack Johnny Depp. According to evidence presented in court, actress Amber Heard lied within the first moment she stepped into the witness stand last week, saying, "I'm here because my ex-husband is suing me for an op-ed I wrote." Yeah, no, it was mostly worded and mulled over by everybody except for Amber Heard, but she put her name on it, so she's responsible for the words there within Washington Post op-ed. At the heart of the defamation lawsuit from actor Johnny Depp carried the byline by Amber Heard, and Heard should be responsible for putting her name on its contents, but the op-ed was anything but written by Heard. In fact, in a disturbing breach of journalistic and nonprofit ethics, expecting ethics from the ACLU in the Washington Post. Come on now. Testimony is in the tragic trial of Depp v. Heard, reveals Depp should put two other defendants on trial, the American Civil Liberties Union and the Washington Post. Those are incredibly... If you think that the defamation case right now is a high bar to cross, a huge threshold, going after national publications is even more insane. That's why some of the breakthroughs that Project Veritas is having against the New York Times, that's why that's such a landmark case in the making. Hopefully it overturns Times v. Sullivan. That would be wonderful. Anyways, the two organizations raised millions of dollars on brand reputation that hinges on values of transparency, honesty, and ethics that they violated in writing and published the allegedly defamatory op-ed. And for people out there that think that, Amber's already lied on the stand, so you should bring perjury charges against her, it never fucking happens. I'm sure if you went through all of the testimony of everybody who was on the stand, at one point or another, they probably contradicted themselves. So if you're going to be going after Heard specifically for her testimony, you'd have to go against everybody else as well. So unless on Monday she decides to make some just absolutely egregious, outlandish, even more so fantastical claims of what she's already made, including turning into a human wine cooler. The whole idea of perjury, you're gonna have to fucking shelve that idea for a moment. In the carefully orchestrated operation, extensive documentation of which I have detailed on Substack, Ashra Nomani. Not me, I don't have Substack. Even though writing would be fun. We now know from testimony and email evidence that the communications, development, artistic engagement, and legal teams of the ACLU crafted, wrote, lawyered, and placed the salacious 765-word Washington Post op-ed that implied Depp was a wife-beater with a 26-word assertion. 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing a domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out. Funny, right? Because that's like the central statement to the lawsuit. Supposed to be a victimizing moment for Heard, right? But yeah, after she made these allegations, she went on to get cast in the biggest roles of her career. And then, yeah, at the same time, she was alleging that Depp was just being completely and totally controlling and possessive of her. She went on to have the most profitable and busy stretch in her career. It's wild. It's fucking wild. The ACLU is a co-conspirator with Ms. Heard, Depp's attorney Ben Chu, who pulls some of the funniest facial expressions in trial. He's the guy, he's the lead attorney for Depp, and he's always sitting to Johnny's right, but camera left whenever they take a look at the plaintiff's box. He looks like a caricature of Bob Hope brought to life. He's a funny looking dude. He's a decent lawyer, but his expressions are comical. Heard and Depp's PR firms didn't comment further. The ACLU and Washington Post didn't return several requests for comments. So yeah, if you guys weren't watching the trial as closely, and this was video deposition, I think, the ACLU lawyer who was up there that basically confirmed that, yeah, we did all the writing. We just sent multiple drafts off, and it wouldn't have got published if we didn't, just hand it out to a professional victim like Heard to just add in some sprinklings of Johnny Depp and make it a little bit more salacious. We never would have been able to get it into the Washington Post. That's what he admitted to on the stand. Like it says here, 2 slips of the tongue during the recorded deposition of the ACLU Chief Operating Officer Terrence Doherty, who is just all kinds of rainbow adjacent. Let's go with that. Sheridan Court revealed exactly how the ACLU and the Washington Post were complicit in the hit job against Depp and the Freudian slip 14 hours, 30 minutes, 51 seconds into his deposition. Is that hour or is that minutes? Seconds, milliseconds. That probably makes more sense. I don't think he gave a 14-hour deposition. Doherty explained that emails in Exhibit 41 documented ACLU staffers from its fundraising development department discussing a placement of Amber's ad. He quickly tried to correct himself. Not ad, sorry, I mean op-ed. No, he said it, the placement of Amber's ad. Yeah, exactly. That's what the op-ed was. Earned media, and they call it in the media industry for the ACLU. Heard and the release of Warner Brothers film Aquaman, as Dr. Karen would say. If you recall, the timing of this op-ed coincided with the release of the biggest film, more than likely, that will ever be on Amber Heard's resume. Second Freudian slip at 1440. In his deposition, Doherty explained how Stacey Sullivan, Deputy Director of the Editorial and Strategic Communications for the ACLU from September 2014 through October 2019, according to her LinkedIn account, emailed a Michael Larrabee, the Post's op-ed editor and top boss of the opinion section. Well, isn't that all of it? Then Larrabee's colleague, Michael Duffy, and Mark Laswell, when she got an automatic out-of-office reply from Larrabee. In the second slip, Doherty said about Sullivan, she reached out to him first about placing the ad from Heard. This time, he didn't even correct himself. No, he was reading, and then he's like, oh, fuck, well, I'm, not allowed to correct myself. I just have to read what I wrote. So they're definitely going to be drilling down on this right here. So that op-ed that you wrote, okay, who exactly is it about? Because it's very fucking obvious, right? That should be the first question on cross. That op-ed, it's about Johnny Depp, right? What were your communications like with the ACLU? What artistic input did you have in there, okay? Did you believe that all of the accusations in here were true and a representation of your relationship with Mr. Depp? They need to drive that into the ground. But then this is also a part of the story that is yet to be addressed on direct. So Heard's team probably is going to have a spin on all this stuff too, right? Because they're laying out a fantastical story with dirty carpets and busted wall sconces and perfectly intact, is still like a third full Maker's Mark bottles and penises being drawn on canvases everywhere. It's gonna get even wilder, I'd imagine. And the way that they approach the whole turd on the bed situation, well, to be fair, they probably won't, and that'll be the job of Camille Vasquez on Cross to drag out, but maybe they'll get ahead of it or under it or place it on the bed for the world to see, because there's been wildly different testimonies as to how the wine and diuretic shit ended up on the bed, because she told the driver or the housekeeper that it was a practical joke gone wrong, and then she's also told Johnny directly that it was the teacup Yorkies that left the 8-inch long shit on the bed. Obviously, no, it's got to be the dogs, the dogs that are about 8 inches in length that left the shit on the bed. It's funny how that didn't make it into the op-ed. Oh yeah, we'll be looking forward to that testimony as well. But I think the question on everybody's mind, it's like, okay, once this eventually goes to the jury, because there's still 3 weeks left of the trial, 2 or 3 weeks left in the trial. There's a lot of time left, and there's upwards of 10 video depositions from Heard's side, and then it's impossible to really tell outside of Whitney Heard and maybe one of her friends. I don't know. Well, it'd be former friends if it was Roxy who ends up coming back. Roxy, is that who it is? Yeah. There's a couple of people left to testify on her behalf, and then the extensive rebuttal period that's going to be coming as well. Because Depp's side has reserved some witnesses specifically for rebuttal, so we're going to be in this for a little while. The judge says that it's supposed to go before the jury by Memorial Day, so apparently it's supposed to be the 27th. It's all going to be done and dusted. That's when closing arguments are going to be, so a full 2 weeks, okay? So Heard's got to put on the case of a lifetime, right? And she's got to, try to rehabilitate her image, because I know, the judge says that nobody's supposed to be looking at any of the information that's online about this case, but literally it's fucking everywhere, right? This is the Friday after a full week of nothing going on, and you still, in the popular columns off to the side, you still have stories specifically about this case. The highest viewed videos that are still out there on YouTube, and videos that are still doing well on Rumble and stuff, they all center around this topic right here. It's the only thing that's going on in the public zeitgeist right now. Well, except for some politicians that just want to, talk about Ukraine and sending off a bunch of taxpayer money over there. Whatever. What happens at the end of this? Okay, what happens to Amber Heard if Johnny Depp wins a defamation trial? She's not going to end up paying, her estate or whatever isn't going to end up paying $50 million if they do end up getting a unanimous jury decision, which, hearing some people that have been in the courtroom as well look at the jury, it's made up by some interesting characters that may or may not be wearing a face mask at all times, and one that is apparently fairly androgynous. So even if they do end up coming to a full definitive decision that Amber Heard, she definitely defamed Johnny Depp and now it's legally binding, she's going to end up paying out a couple $1 million or something like that. Johnny Depp's already cleared his name in public opinion. You take a look at the hashtags, you take a look at all of the measurable data that's out there. His public image has been just about fully rehabilitated. And there's still some fucking weirdos that are out there that's like, oh, Amber Heard's making all these allegations on the stand and they have to be true because she's under oath. Okay, cool. You go ahead and you go down with that Hindenburg that is believe all women, mostly because they also resemble the shape of that. But seeing Amber Heard's act on the stand, we know exactly what's going to happen to her at the end of this trial, right? She gets labeled as a defamer. Okay, her non-starter career ends up fucking fizzling out. What's going to happen to her? Well, she's going to try to claim victim, right? It was an unfair process and all my incompetent lawyers didn't do a good job, and she's going to blame everybody else except for herself, and it's going to be, well, I'm just going to spend time with my kid, who I feel terrible for that fucking kid. Okay, for one, you're being raised by a single mother, and then number two, that single mother is Amber Heard. Oh God, 18 years from now, that thing is going to be hell on wheels, and I think its name is like Oolong or something like that. But she's just going to try to appeal this into oblivion and never have to pay anything out again. But there's somebody else's life story that she could end up trying to parrot, okay, trying to latch onto and co-opt for herself like she has with so many a story in the past. There is a high probability, and I heard somebody point this out before. Heard, get it? That man right there, man is a strong word, I know. Colin Kaepernick, okay, once a promising prospect in the NFL, okay, and then eventually got bit by the social justice bug, and he decided to become, I don't know, the face of race and demean his entire league and compare the NFL draft to just an open slave exchange, whatever other fucking nonsense. And then once all of his fucking career prospects off the field started to wane and dry up, now all of a sudden he wants back into the NFL at 34? He's only 34? Jesus. He's been out of the game for 5 fucking years at this point. He would be too much of a headache for any team to take on, mostly because of his stances off the field, which he has been very, very profitable. And this is what I could see Amber Heard developing into. Hear me out here for a second. For Hollywood, okay, she could still play the unjust woman, okay? She'll be able to, take a step back for a moment, and then whenever another big Me Too accusation can come out, she can just once again start her hustle a la Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, all these people that have been thoroughly discredited for a bunch of their lies anyways. She'll be able to become the face once again, not just for the ACLU, but for the entire movement in and of itself. It doesn't matter if you have any credibility. It doesn't matter if you've been a proven, verifiable liar. You will be the designated patron saint of Me Too, because that's exactly what you've wanted, okay? You've seen your career prospects dry up, just like Colin Kaepernick, right? He couldn't beat out fucking Blake Bortles for a starting role in the NFL. Okay, Blake fucking Bortles. Do you know who that is? No, exactly. That's why. He knew that his time was coming to an end, so he decided to hop onto a new bandwagon. Amber Heard, realizing that nobody likes me at the Aquaman, I like to call it Aquaman, the Aquaman set. So she was going to have to attach myself to this. I'll just be the face of this never-ending fucking witch hunt, this believe all women, Me Too movement, okay? So that's what she's going to transition to after this, okay? Might take a little while. She might take the L in the courtroom, which is possible. I don't think it's going to be terribly likely. There's a whole bunch of different machinations going on. Depends on who the jury is at the end of the day, because there's still 2 alternates, and then there's going to be 7 jurors. I don't know how she rehabilitates herself over the next couple of weeks. She'll try, but hey, it'll probably fall on deaf ears because nobody's buying this shit unless she becomes a world-class actor overnight. Better start branching out, because Warner Brothers is done with you, Disney is done with you, and your talent isn't strong enough to just, hey, wait back in the shadows for a minute before you reemerge. Poisoned property, and you reap exactly what you sow. So yeah, it'll be a recap on Monday. I'll be back on the trial because, hey, not only is it incredibly popular on video hosting platforms, I'm also finding it incredibly interesting. So hopefully it'll be a nice return to form, because boy howdy, I've been totally out of sorts this entire week. Sure, you guys have probably noticed. But with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.